Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Greetings to you all, the Mishporka, all Shabbat the Ger and Gerim, and all them that are coming out and being grafted in to the house of Yasharel. All them that are seeking truth in Torah or in the ancient writings of Jubilee, Hunuk, and also the book of Sefer Yasher. I greet you all, and we love you, and thank you for tuning in this moment. Praise Yahuwah, hallelujah. Now, I'm flicking the station and say hello to brother. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, brother. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I'm excited today, brother. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited about what we're learning about, because we're all learning together. Yah is teaching us as we're going through this, just as he's teaching you. And I feel like we're really getting into the meat of the word, brother, and we're exposing the principalities of old, you know, and they're still the same principalities. They still have dominion over the Aretz until Yahushua, the return of the coming of the Mashiach.
You're absolutely right, because the more deeper we go into the Ball, fake Ball, NASA Ball, Marcus Aurelius, Julius, all these emperors, all the way in the Catholic Church, the Gregorian calendar, and more we research on the fake it till they make it Ball Earth. I don't even want to say Ball Earth, I'll say Ball World. Because Aretz is the original Hebrew word in ancient writings, is the earth, you know. And the more we see it, we're discovering the spiritual principalities that we are. Some of the stuff that possibly we're going to share with you today is dealing for a spiritual mind that has understanding on we're dealing with. We thought we were just dealing with the Prince of Persia in the Middle East, but we found others connected to Nimrod of the fallen Nephilim, and we're going to share their names with you, because see, we don't just do this as recreation to get a lot of hits and teach people versus this versus that. We want to go against the flat, what they call the Ball Earth, Ball World, and teach on the garden flat, tabernacle covered earth, the way it was created, the creation calendar,
Yahuwah made it,
and creation earth, you know. And when the same time we're discovering all these particular pagan principalities resurfacing, these principalities of Nephilim, fallen ones, possessing men and manifesting through them, or manifesting to the man to create these idols and images. And we discovered that Iran, on Babylon, and we're going to read by next week, we're probably going to have more principality names of these fallen mighty ones that are still in operation. So when we rebuke, bind, and crush those principalities, and I'm not saying for everybody to do that. I do have a dominion, authority, anointing on me. I've been doing this for many years, fighting principalities and powers. I've in Hollywood. That's another testimony and story. I share a little bit in my other teaching on principalities and powers. But I battled up to things that were like 20 feet tall, 3 stories buildings with red eyes. When I was up on Sunset Plaza Terrace in Hollywood, just staring at Madonna's house and looking in this other area, this thing manifested on me and challenged me because I challenged it. And so we've always been doing that. And I have a special protection on me. I have what they call white raiment of fire. I have a message on that, having the raiment of fire. And I've been shot at by these things. They come in to try to attack me, but Father protects me. That's my gift. That's just my calling. Some people have different gifts and different calling, but mine's the battle scene. And my brother here is a veteran too, and he has a spirit of warfare on him. He has a mantle of warfare. If we were around in the days of David, we would join his army.
Probably so, brother.
We would be radical. We'll be, spiritual, but we'd be radical. Join his service. We'd probably be part of the chosen 20. We probably won't be able to beat next to the chosen 7, kill 300 in battle, but we'll be up there. You know what I mean?
We just give Yah all the esteem, that he's using, and he's showing somebody like myself and brother who in no way have been perfect in our lives. I mean, we've if you know us personally, we live lives that beforehand we're not the way that Yah wants us to live our lives. But nonetheless, Yah has chosen us for some reason to and has shown us these things. Has exposed to us the spiritual warfare aspect of the word, and really that's what we all should be striving for is to and that includes today. And we were talking about this yesterday. That includes like right now, there's these people that go around interviewing people, asking them whether they want to, if they're going to vote for Hillary or for Trump. Anyways, make a long story short, a lot of these people, a lot of people think, well, what are they doing that for? But this is warfare. The warfare is not just spiritual. It's physical. It's manifesting itself in your government, in your area of whatever land that you're in, whether you're in America, whether you're in Mexico, whether you're in the UK, whether you're in Norway.
There's different principalities in those regions.
Right, wherever you may be at, in Portugal, it doesn't matter. There's principalities there, and they're manifesting through the people who are in charge in your government. Okay, and only you, through prayer, each and every one of you believers have the power to do anything about it. Right. Anything. Right. See, the carnal man does not have the power. They can go and interview somebody and they can say, hey, what do you think about Hillary Clinton? And they can say whatever they want. But
they can word curse and hate and spit and sputter that they hate Trump, and they're not going to get nowhere because it's a spiritual warfare. Right. And we can hate, spit, and throw eggs at people that love Hillary, but it's a spiritual warfare.
Right.
I like to stay in the background, standing in the background, and pray and target and bind those strongholds, because you can't change nobody's mind. You can't convince nobody.
What you have to do is do it spiritually. I mean, you can't change it. What brother means by that is you can't change anybody's mind by talking them down.
Right.
And saying,
arguing with them.
Yeah, arguing with them. You're not going to change their mind. But what you can do, and only you can do it, who are calling on the name, who can enter into spiritual warfare and call on the name of Yahuwah, call on the name of Yahushua, and bind, crush these spirits that are taking hold of the people in your government, in your area, in your realm.
Now, I want to clap my hand to Brits. I want to clap my old ancestors from the Childa family, the Jewish family, the Childs family, who lived in the Anglo-Saxon area. And before we came on a boat in the colonies here, on my father's side, that were Yehudi. And I want to praise the Father. We were praying for them, praying and interceding. Yes. There's a great movie. What is it called? Brit X movie.
Right.
Shows the detail of the history, what happened after World War II. Yeah. How did they end up getting sucked into the EU? Brit X movie. Brit X movie.
Right.
Right.
Brit X movie, full documentary. If you go on YouTube, and you should, you should really watch that to see how the government system works in the UK and in many other places.
Right.
Because, in here it's very similar. So these things are exposing the power that the principalities have over the people.
And everybody has seen the picture. I was looking for it right now. I didn't put it in front of your screen yet because I was actually looking for it. But everybody has seen the picture of the way the EU building looks, a mimic and a mockery and a slap to your face that they're resurrecting the Tower of Babel, the principality of sun worship. You know what I mean? So you got to recognize that system got a slap. It doesn't mean they're over with, because they're governed by principalities of ancient Nimrod, the things we're going to mention today. That's why they accept Islam so much. You know what I mean? And the principality of the mighty one that they call the destroyer, which in in Aramaic is Allah. So as they focus on allowing these people to come into the countries, that EU system, you could see the root as they boldly build their building like the Tower of Babel.
Right.
Half broken up. You know, many nations, one tongue, restore again. We made a mistake before, but this time we're going to achieve new world order. You know what I mean?
Right.
The globalism, global. You're talking about the authors of a globe. The EU is the authors of a globe.
Right.
Globalism, you know.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, brother. I congratulate the people from the UK out there who went and voted for their government to not be under the oppression of these demons.
Right.
Who is the people who are in charge of the EU, who want to consolidate all of Europe and take all the wealth for themselves and leave nothing for the people.
100%. And I'm glad their vote counted. Those
Right.
people prayed, probably many prayed and prayed, but you know, we know Great Britain is so, it has problems spiritually. It's
Right.
really, it's in a mode of dying, of starvation, of spirituality,
Right.
and a lot of witchcraft is rising up, and the paganism is rising up, and we need to keep the believers. There's followers of Yah there that are praying. They're little salt pebbles of the earth in that
Right.
region, that island, and they're praying for their people, and so we need to intercede and pray. But the next move, they're going to do a checkmate. You got to realize the enemy's been here thousands of years. He's not done yet.
Right.
And even if we get rid of TPP here, that gives a blow
Right.
to the EU. He's going to try come another loop, another day, another dollar,
Right. You
another
see,
way.
It's like when Yahushua cast those demons out of that man. They asked for permission to go into the swine. Okay, this demon that is the EU, he wants permission to go somewhere else now.
Yeah.
Now that he's fed off of the British people for 40-something years, he needs another host. And guess what?
Because he starved him.
Right.
He literally, it's like a woman showing her skirt and
Right.
being raped, pillaged, and all her wealth taken away.
Right, exactly.
That's what happened to Great Britain.
Exactly. And so now he's looking for another host, and he might just say, hey, Yah, can I have America? Because she's full of wickedness.
America's full of wickedness.
Let me show you all of these things that she's
Sodom
done.
and Gomorrah,
Killed
everything.
all these children, all of your, all this abortion, all of this Sodom
They
and
took
Gomorrah
the
acts.
commandments out of all the schools.
Right,
and
they
all
took
of
the commandments out. Can I have them for a season? May I
Yeah.
have them for a little
Yeah.
while? And how long is a season? About 49 years.
Yeah.
About a Yubel.
About a good jubilee time,
Right.
50 years.
So then that demon is looking for another host. So we're praying that it does not come here. But my greatest fear, my biggest fear, is that Yah is righteous.
Right.
Okay, and Yah loves His people and He forgives us. But let me tell you something. He's righteous, so He punishes. He does punish.
He allows people to be consumed by their own iniquity.
Right.
You know?
And He doesn't just send one person. He sends us all. He sends the whole nation into slavery. Okay? He allows them to go into slavery. He doesn't just send one of them. When Israel and the Yehudi went into slavery, to bondage, they all went together. Even all the Nabi that were righteous in the eyes of Yahuwah, where did they wind up at, brother? Where did they wind up? And with Nebuchadnezzar, they wound up in Babylon. Anyway,
There was only a few of the lower that their body was their ransom, and they were just working the fields and keeping the land going.
I believe He'll keep us during the time of slavery. He will keep us, and He may even make some of us to prosper.
Yeah.
But you know what? As a nation, we would all go into slavery together. That includes you and me.
Right.
You and me. That does not make you or myself greater than the other people. We all go together, you see. So that's why it's your duty also to pray and to come against these principalities. See, because Yahuwah has given you His name. And Yahuwah has...
and we have authority more than anybody else.
Right, so you're
the
at
name
fault
of
too, and so am
Yeshua
I.
is the real name and powerful.
Right.
In Yahuwah.
We are at fault, okay? Because we're not praying and interceding and coming against these things. Yahuwah gave us his name and saved us for a time such as this, and then we don't do anything about it, we will go into slavery too.
Right. And see, and I've been in situations where things were about to explode, and all I did is stand in the back and raise my hands and discern where this strong man is up in the rafters, shooting the fiery darts on the little minions, because the enemy don't care who wins. He just wants the blood.
Right.
The shedding of blood.
Right.
And historically, and I made a video, I'm not going to get into it, but historically, there was the blue coats and the red coats when we fought Great Britain. After that, you got to look at the history, even go deeper. The Aztecs and the Mayan, red feathers, blue feathers.
Right.
Why is that color red and blue have a problem? You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, and we got them in stripes in this flag. So, but why is it also in the days of the cowboys? The cowboys and the farmers, one had a blue bandana, one had a red. Why is it that when we go up into my days, there was the Farmer Johns, those were before the black guerrilla family of the Afro-Americans, mafia in prison. They would have different color bandanas, and the Mexicans had a different color bandanas, and the whites had a different, and they were fighting each other over colors. The Crips and the Bloods, what are they? White and red. You know, so this is a spiritual warfare we're talking about. The spirit in the land, that principality, he don't care who comes in the land. Crips or Bloods, he's going to host them. Before that, there were farmers and ranchers.
Right.
Cowhands. And they were fighting each other with a red banana and blue bandana.
Right.
Red bandana and a blue bandana.
Or the flag.
And they were all white. Or a flag.
Yeah, or a flag.
Yeah.
You know, like the European settlers against the natives.
Right.
The Spanish against the natives, and then the Spanish against the British, and just all kinds of stuff. So, you know, these guys are masters of warfare, and that's what they're here. They're here to divide and conquer. And if they can divide the people, they will conquer them.
And see, what we're going to get in today, I know it's lengthy, and this is going to go on because we're exposing principalities and powers. The deception of the ball, globe, world, sun worship from Nimrod all the way up to today. This are spiritual blinders of principalities that is dealing with astrology, worship, and all the different things of the principality. They call stars, but it's principality worship. And we're going to deal with it today, and we want you to understand that. We have we're shooting a shotgun with a lot of bullets in it.
Right.
But some of it is to expose the truth of the calendar. That's our main goal.
Right.
We're exposing the principalities involved in blinding the people to mandatory government education of showing us as little children this globe, this Catholic globe, when we walked into the school.
Where he led the whole world astray.
The whole world's been deceived.
Right.
People say, well, how does the Shaitan lead the whole world astray? Well, first of all, you don't know his real name to fight him. Right. And number two, you think the world is a ball.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because we went to school. And they give us little stars. If little Johnny says, that is a globe, and they're in the other side of the world, you get a gold 5-pointed Estara pentagram today,
right.
You know?
Right.
So, and they brainwash you with this 5-pointed little stickies, you know what I mean? And you're a good boy, you got a gold one, you know?
Right.
And they're brainwashed us since childhood. And with the King Imus Biblos coming in with the 13 colonies and educating everybody, we got generations, people, generations of our ancestors in the Santa Biblia, in the Catholic Biblia, and also in the Mr. King Imus, brainwashing us with pagan principality words.
Right, exactly.
So that's 7-generation curse we got to rip out of people's soul.
Right.
You know?
Right. It's a lot, you know, because you might think, well, wow, these guys are taking a long time to get to the calendar, but you know, it requires this in order. We
want to get to the root source.
Right. Right, we want to start at the very bottom, and like Brother says, pull it all out and expose it to you and show it to you, and then you can say, all right, now that that's out, now let's see what Yah says, how the earth is made.
Right.
Now that we got all the
correct Hebrew words
out of the way, now we're going to see how how the earth is made, and how the moon and the sun as signs work together in order to bring about the feast, in order to bring about jubilees, in order to bring about things that he says are going to happen.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go to, we're going to go to the Word.
Okay, today, brother, we're going to read from Yasher, chapter 11 through chapter 12, verse 70. Then we're going to go to Jubilees, chapter 12, verse 1 through 30. And then the last point we'll read is Bereshit, chapter 11 through chapter 12, verse 13. So we're going to try to get through this, and at the end, we're going to show you some pictures of some stuff that we found.
Right. All right, my brother. What verse you're going to start at?
Chapter 1 in Yasher.
So I'm ready on the screen. Verse 1, chapter 11.
All right, let's do it. Okay, it says that Nimrod, son of Cush, was still in the land of Shinar, and he reigned over it and dwelt there, and he built cities in the land of Shinar. And these are the names of the 4 cities which he built, and he called their names after their occurrences that befell them in the building of the tower. And he called the first city that he built, saying, because Yahuwah there confused the language of the whole earth, and the name, so he called the first one Babel.
Right.
Okay, because that was confusion, and what we're about to go through right now, I just want to say this real quick, is that a lot of these names of these mighty ones that we're about to read are they're called different names in different tongues, but they're the same mighty ones. In that area of Mesopotamia, Yah had confused their language, and these tribes were moving around, warring, taking each other's cities and land over, so you can have one deity, one mighty one that they were worshiping, and his name can be Kadalomer, and it can be Gilgamesh, and it can be different. Amraphel, who is Nimrod. So it's really confusing, and so we don't want to get into arguing about whose name was what. You know, we're just going to read to you what it was, and you
and then we're finding out that cities have been changed. The names have been changed.
Right.
Iraq, Iran, and all that. They're only a few hundred years old, those words, but we're going to show you they're principalities. They're actually names of fallen ones.
Right.
So verse 3, right?
Yes,
Continue.
sir. Verse number 3. And he called the first Babel, saying, because Yahuwah there confused the language of the whole earth. And the name of the second he called Erech, because from there Elohim dispersed them. Now, do you want to say anything about Erech, brother?
Yeah, share it.
Okay, Erech means dispersion. Erech is the name, the root name of Iraq. Erech had a principality. Okay, when the British went into, the Britons went into this area, they discovered all kinds of temples and everything, and after they took over the area, or after they had influence on the area way back in the 1800s and early 1900s, then they renamed that area Iraq, which comes from the name Erech, which is one of the principalities of the reign of Nimrod.
Right.
Okay, and that's how they have their name today, Iraq, because then people down there, they weren't naming a nation. It wasn't a nation. It was a bunch of Bedouins and groups of people that lived in these cities.
And in the same way, Great Britain or United Kingdom, you know, we know that the language we speak is not English. It's Runic. They call Father Fulang. Runic languages. Look at your alphabet and look at the clickers in any Google search of the alphabet and look at ancient English. It's Runic. So what do we speak? They call it English or England. The deity of Ing.
Right.
So we're speaking the language of Ing.
Right.
We're speaking the language of Ing. What do they speak in Iraq?
Right.
Their principality was Iraq.
So somebody in that government system knows about the worship of these mighty ones.
And how to conquer those principalities and control those principalities.
Right. So the British had a huge influence throughout the whole world. So you see a lot of that stuff. Even the Portuguese also. The Portuguese and the Spaniards had a lot of influence. You can go to different places and all of a sudden you see Spanish names. You're going, wow, how did that get here? You know, they influence all of these different places, just like the British did. Are we saying that the British are bad? No. Or the people are not bad. It's the government system. Are we saying that all the our system is corrupt here in America? But the people can be, some of the people can be good, but the government up at the top is corrupt by these principalities that are taking them over.
Shaping and molding them and possessing them and hosting them. And,
right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Okay, let's keep going. It says, and the third he called, I'm on verse 4, and the third he called Eked, saying there was a great battle in that place. And the fourth he called Kenam, because his princes and mighty men were consumed there, and they troubled Yahuwah, they rebelled and transgressed against him. And when Nimrod had built these cities in the land of Shinar, he placed in them the remainder of his people, his princes and his mighty men that were left in his region. And Nimrod dwelt in Babel, and there he renewed his reign over the rest of his subjects, and he reigned safely. And the subjects and princes of Nimrod called his name Amraphel. Okay.
So he got a name change.
Right, he had a name change. Is Amraphel, according to what I've read, means the one who caused them all to fall. All of his mighty, the one who caused all his mighty men and his princes. Now, you take that how you want, but when I see the word mighty men, they were pretty mighty. That means... Now remember, Gilgamesh, Kadalomer was one of his princes, and if in Iraq now they have pictures of this guy. Okay, and he's a giant, and he's holding a lion like a little kitty cat in his arm.
Yeah.
Okay. Those were his princes. Okay,
that's great stuff.
Yeah. And despite this, Nimrod did not return to Yahuwah. This is verse 7. And he continued in wickedness, teaching wickedness to the sons of men.
So in other words, brother, when we read in Bereshit, Genesis, sorry for interrupting you. That verse, okay. We think Nimrod disappeared, but we know the truth, what happens to Nimrod in Yasher and different books, right?
Right.
You know, the more details of stories.
Right.
Now, some of the stories can be a little different, people, just like the Bezoros, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They're different people looking at the incident with different eyes and different views. One person could be in the bathroom, the other one sneezing, turning his head. The other eyewitness puts filler of information. You know, depending where they're close up or behind, looking at the whole picture. So we're seeing through these different books the whole pictures of these different information. And he did not disappear off the map. He got a name change.
Right. He was still around. He was around during the time of Abraham.
So
we're going to read about that.
He just stopped building his rocket launcher.
Right.
To get off the earth or to touch the Shamayim.
Right. Yah defeated him in the Tower of Babel. And when he was defeated, he didn't go away. He went down to another place and built another kingdom and another reign under another name and came back. You see, this is all of this mythology. Really, all the mythologies and everything that we know today comes from that area where they were dispersed. When the tower came down, these people, and with all of their beliefs and mythologies, were dispersed from there.
They were dispersed with that stuff.
Right, and they were speaking. At first, they were speaking the same language, but when they were dispersed, they were speaking a multitude of languages now. Yah had came down and confused them.
Right.
And so you got all these stories being told by different cultures and different times. And so it is exactly what Yah said, Babel. It's confusion. And that is the enemy. The enemy causes confusion. Yah is an Eloah of order and not of confusion. So when all these people get online and start arguing about who's who and, oh no, you're wrong, man, that's not what that, you know what, it doesn't matter. No one's gonna know the exact truth. You know why? Because it's a spirit of confusion. It comes from out of a spirit of confusion.
And you know, these princes got together, these principality rulers under him, and they gave him the name change. They voted to give him a name change.
Right.
To try to reshape his character.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay, let's keep going. It says, in spite of this, Nimrod did not return to Yahuwah, and he continued in wickedness and teaching wickedness to the sons of men. And Mardon, his son, was worse than his father, and continued to add to to the abominations of his father, and he caused the sons of men to sin. Therefore it is said, from wicked goes forth wickedness. At that time there was fighting between the clans of the children of Ham, and they were dwelling in the cities which they had built. And Kedalomer, sovereign of Elam, went away from the clans of the children of Ham. Now Kedalomer is the same guy who it came from the Chaldeans. Kedalomer is the same guy who went and fought with Sodom and Gomorrah and defeated them, and then Abraham, our father, came back and defeated him. Okay, now, but check out how mighty this guy was. He said, and Kedalomer, sovereign of Elam, went away from the clans of the children of Ham, and he fought with them, and he subdued them. And he went to the 5 cities of the plain, and he fought against them, and he subdued them, and they were under his control. And they served him 12 years, and they gave him yearly levy. At that time, Nahor, now this Nahor is the father of Terah. At that time, Nahor, son of Serug, died in the 49th year of the life of Abram, son of Terah. And in the 50th year of the life of Abram, son of Terah, Abram came forth from the house of Noah and went to his father's house.
So he was being educated and living under the roof of Noah and his son.
Right.
And he was learning to read. He was getting the revelation. He wanted to serve the mighty one of Yasher. Well, it wasn't Israel then, but the mighty one, Yahuwah.
Right. And Abram knew Yahuwah, and he went in his ways and Torah. And Yahuwah, his Eloah, was with him. And Terah, his father, was in those days still captain of the army of sovereign Nimrod. And he still followed strange mighty ones.
This is the father, people.
Right. This is the father of Abraham.
He's still following Nimrod and being a captain of his army.
Right. Right. And Nimrod had mighty men. He had I'm not exactly 100% sure, but because I have to look at, we would have to do an in-depth research of what it says in Hebrew, and we don't have that. We don't have Yasher in Hebrew where we can study it out, but we'll get it. But anyways, I believe when it says mighty men, he might be talking about
half-breeds,
yeah. Right. So Terah, his father, was in those days still captain of the army of sovereign Nimrod. And Abram came to his father's house and saw 12 mighty ones standing there in their temples. This is exactly like we had talked about before. The 12 deities for each
12 months.
For each 12 months, and people still name their sons and daughters after these deities. And the wrath of Abram, their name, now back then, I'm sure they were called different names, but it's the same principle. It's the same kind of worship. Okay, and Abram was, and the wrath of Abram was kindled when he saw these images in his father's house. Verse 17. And Abram said, as Yahuwah lives, these images shall not remain in my father's house. So shall Yahuwah, who created me, do to me in 3 days' time. I do not break them all.
Now, he came back zealously.
Right.
Coming from homeschool with Noah.
Right.
And the family, and learning the truth of Torah. Come with real rules, zealously back to his father's house.
Right. He knew it was wrong. He knew that that Yahuwah was not approving of this. And Abram went from them, and his wrath burned within him. And Abram hastened and went to the chamber to his father's outer court, and he found his father sitting in the court, and all his servants with him. And Abram came and sat before him, and Abram asked his father, saying, Father, tell me, where is the Elohim who created the Shamayim and the Aretz and all the sons of men on the Aretz, and who created you and me? And Terah answered his son Abram and said, look, those who created us are all here with us in this house. So he's pointing to all of the
zodiac, the
right.
12 principalities that he worshipped.
Right. Just like the people who go to the restaurants and sit there and say, "Oh, look, it's the year of the rabbit," and and they believe in that stuff. Anyways, and Abram said to his father, "My master, show them to me, please." And Terah brought Abram into the chamber of the inner court, and Abram looked, and see, the whole room was full of mighty ones of wood and stone, 12 great images, and others smaller than they without number. And Terah said, and now, why were there more than 12? There's a santito for every single day of the year. I hate this worship with a passion, brother, because I've seen it.
Yeah,
I've seen it. I grew up watching this stuff. And there's literally a santito for every single day.
And if you're born that day, they give you that little thing as part of your saint.
Right.
Saint is right. Santito is the same word for Hali. It's a spirit.
Yeah, like I'm just gonna say this. You know, like my mom, she said, "Oh, look, this is the santito for you, mijo. When you were born, this is Francis, the santito Francis." So they wanted to put that on me. You see.
And they're little doilies. They're little like thread with a little cloth.
Yep.
But then if you got a lot of money, you can get the one in gold and silver. You know.
The expensive ones.
Yeah.
Anyways, and let's go to verse 22. And Terah bowed down to his mighty ones, and he then went away from them, and Abram his son went away with him. And when Abram had gone from them, he went to his mother and sat before her. And he said to his mother, "See, my father has shown me those who made the Shamaim and the Arets and all the sons of men. Now therefore hurry and fetch a kid from the flock, and make of it a tasty dish, that I may bring it to my father's mighty ones as an offering for them to eat. Maybe I may become acceptable to them." And his mother did so, and she fetched a kid and made a tasty dish of it and brought it to Abram. And Abram took the tasty dish from his mother and brought it before his father's mighty ones, and he drew near to them that they might eat. And Terah his father did not know of it. And Abram saw on the day when he was sitting among them that they had no voice, no hearing, no motion, and not one of them could stretch out his hand to eat. And Abram mocked them and said, "Indeed, the tasty dish that I prepared has not pleased them, or maybe it was too little for them, and for this reason they would not eat. Therefore tomorrow I will prepare a fresh, tasty dish, better and more plentiful than this, in order that I may see the result." And it came to be on the next day that Abram directed his mother concerning the tasty dish, and his mother rose and took 3 fine kids from the flock, and she made them an excellent tasty dish, such as her son loved. And she gave it to her son Abram, and Terah his father did not know of it. And Abram took the tasty dish from his mother and brought it before his father's mighty ones into the chamber. And he came near to them that they might eat, and he placed it before them. And Abram sat before them all day, thinking maybe they might eat. And Abram watched them, and see, they had neither voice nor hearing, nor did one of them stretch out his hand to the meat to eat. And in the evening of that day, in the house, the Ruach of Elohim came upon Abram, and he called out and said, "Woe to my father and to this wicked generations, whose hearts are all inclined to vanity, who serve these idols of wood and stone, which can neither eat, smell, hear, nor speak, who have mouths without speech, eyes without sight, ears without hearing, hands without feeling, and legs which cannot move. Like them are those that made them and that trust in them." And when Abram saw all these matters, his wrath was kindled against his father, and he hastened and took a hatchet in his hand and came into the chamber of the mighty ones, and he broke all his father's mighty ones. And when he had done breaking the images, he placed the hatchet in the hand of the great mighty one which was there before them, and he went out. And Terah his father came home, for he had heard at the door the sound of striking of the hatchet. So Terah came into the house to know what this was about. And Terah, having heard the noise of the hatchet in the room of images, ran to the room to the images, and he met Abram going out. And Terah entered the room and found all the idols fallen down and broken, and the hatchet in the hand of the largest, which was not broken, and the tasty dish which Abram his son had made was still before them. And when Terah saw this, his wrath was greatly kindled, and he hastened and went from the room to Abraham, and he found Abraham, his son, still sitting in the house, and he said to him, What is this deed you have done to the mighty ones? And Abraham answered Terah, his father, and said, Not so, my master, for I brought a tasty dish before them, and when I came near to them, and with meat that they might eat, they all at once stretched out their hands to eat before the large one had put out his hand to eat. And the large one saw their works that they did before him, and his wrath was violently kindled against them. And he went and took the hatchet that was in the house, and came to them and broke them all. And look, the hatchet is yet in his hand, as you see. So this sounds very ridiculous, okay? And it's meant to sound ridiculous. Okay, because if you can believe
his
that,
father to bump his head and get corrected,
right? If you can believe that, I mean, people can go, man, that's a corny story. No, that's right. That's right. You're worshiping stuff that is not that cannot touch, hear, feel, eat, cannot walk, cannot move. You know, so it's silliness. It really is. What we're trying to put out here is that we have a real Eloah, who made the Arets and the Shamayim, who made the sun and the stars and the moon, and the earth is not spinning around at 1,000 miles an hour around the sun at 66,000 miles an hour. That sounds as ridiculous as what Abraham just said.
Right.
And Terah's wrath was kindled against his son Abraham when he spoke this, and Terah said to Abraham his son in his wrath, What is this tale that you have told? You speak lies to me. Is there in these mighty ones spirit, being, or power to do all that you have told me? Are they not wood and stone? And have I not myself made them? And can you speak such lies, saying that the large mighty one that was with them smote them? It is you that placed the hatchet in the hands, and then say he smote them all. And Abraham answered his father and said to him, And how can you then serve these idols in whom there is no power to do any matter? Can those idols in which you trust deliver you? Can they hear your prayers when you call upon them? Can they deliver you from the hands of your enemies? Or will they fight your battles for you against your enemies, that you should serve wood and stone, which can neither speak nor hear? And now indeed it is not good for you nor for the sons of men that are connected with you to do these matters. Are you so ignorant, so foolish, and so short of understanding that you will serve wood and stones, and that you will believe that the earth is going 66,000 miles around the sun? And it doesn't say that, but
right. And you believe in this thing, gravity?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? Bumped your head?
Yeah. Are you believe in this? You believe that the water bends around the earth in a circle? Show me that. Do you really believe that the water is bending around a sphere in a circle, in a ball?
Right.
Okay. So, and he says, and forget ya. And he says, are you so ignorant, so foolish, and so short of understanding? Let's go to verse 46. Did not our fathers in the days of old sin in this matter? And now he's talking about before the flood. And Yahuwah, Eloah of the universe, brought the waters of the flood upon them and destroyed the whole earth. And how can you continue to do this and serve mighty ones of wood and stone, who cannot hear or speak or deliver you from confusion, from oppression, bringing down the wrath of Eloah of the universe upon you? Now therefore, my father, and you know, that's the same thing. We're bringing down the wrath of Eloah by doing Sun Mitra's worship. The whole world is gone astray and believes that the sun is the center of the universe instead of Yahuwah.
That's right.
And it says, now therefore, my father, refrain from this, and do not bring evil upon your being and the beings of your household. And Abraham hastened and leaped from before his father, and took the hatchet from his father's largest idol, with which Abraham broke it and ran away. And Terah, seeing all that Abram had done, hastened to go to his house, and he went to the sovereign, and he came before Nimrod, and stood before him, and he bowed down to the sovereign, and the sovereign said, what do you want? And he said, I beg you, my master, to hear me. Now 50 years ago, a child was born to me. Now we read this at the very beginning. Yeah, we read about this at the very beginning.
He hid the secret from his Nimrod.
Right, and that's why all of this sounds familiar. And you see, we're using these books, the Book of Yasher and the Book of Yubalim and the Book of Enoch, so you can have an understanding. Those who are in charge of canonizing the Bible have hidden these things from you so that you do not know the truth. So the truth is not revealed in your heart and in your mind. So Yahuwah cannot bring these things to pass inside of you so that you can believe the truth. Okay? So because the enemy is exposed. Once you read this stuff, he's exposed. He doesn't stand a chance no more.
That's right.
Okay? It says, and Terah, seeing all that Abram had done, okay, verse number 51, and he said, I beg of you, my master, to hear me. Now 50 years ago, a child was born to me, and thus he has done to my mighty ones. Excuse me, sorry. And thus he has spoken. And now therefore, my master and sovereign, send for him, that he may come before you, and judge him according to the law, that we may be delivered from his evil. And the sovereign sent three men of his servants, and they went and brought Abram before the sovereign. And Nimrod and all his princes and servants were sitting before him that day. And Terah also sat before them. And the sovereign said to Abram, what is this that you have done to your father and to his mighty ones? And Abram answered the sovereign in the words that he spoke to his father, and said, the large mighty one that was with them in the house did to them what you have heard. And the sovereign said to Abram, had they power to speak and eat, and do as you have said? And Abram answered the sovereign, saying, and if there be no power in them, why do you serve them, and cause the sons of men to stray through your folly? So he's telling Nimrod, who, remember, we've read earlier that Nimrod taught this to the people. That's why he was so wicked. Okay, and now he has Terah doing this also. Okay, so he approves of anything. They approve of anything so that you will not worship the true creator. Okay, the Catholic Church will approve. The Baptists and everybody else, the rabbinicals, the Buddhists will approve. They all approve of each other's religions, and that's fine because they don't want you to know the truth.
That's right. They're gonna hide the true names of the Father and the Son and the proper understanding of the marriage covenant.
Right. It says, do you think that they can deliver you from anything small or great, that you should serve them? And why will you not acknowledge the Eliyahu of the whole universe, who created you and in whose power it is to kill and to keep alive? O foolish, simple, and ignorant sovereign, woe unto you forever. I thought you would teach your servants the upright way, but you have done this and have filled the whole earth with your sins. The whole earth. Okay, he has filled the whole earth. That's a little hint that this kind of worship is going throughout the whole earth, and the whole earth, Hasatan has deceived it.
That's right.
Okay. Now he says, with your sins and the sins of your people who followed your ways, do you not know, or have you not heard that this evil which you do, or our ancestors sinned there in the days of old, and the eternal Elohim brought the waters of the flood upon them and destroyed them all, and also destroyed the whole earth for their sakes? And will you and your people rise up now and do likewise in this work, in order to bring down the wrath of Yahuwah Elohim of the universe, and to bring evil upon you and the whole earth? Now, therefore, put away this evil deed which you do, and serve Elohim of the universe, as your being is in his hands, and then it will be well with you.
Stop for a minute. He actually was preaching Bezoros to him.
Right.
He
witnessed to him.
He witnessed to him and even told him, repent now. Change your ways.
Right. Now Nimrod wasn't just anybody, people.
No, he wasn't.
Okay, this is like standing in front of the President of the United States on the 5 o'clock evening news and speaking out.
He was 200-something years old and powerful.
Yeah, he had more knowledge today than any man alive today. More knowledge. Okay,
and
he's been around for 200
he did the
years.
And he was true, the New World Order anti-Messiah.
Yeah. But you know what? In a little bit, Nimrod is going to say, "Look, man, this guy didn't even stutter. He didn't skip a beat. He really believes what he's telling, what he's talking about." And they know it to be true. They knew it to be true. This guy was in complete rebellion to Yahuwah. Okay, so.
And he keeps on and challenges in verse 60.
Verse 60. And if your wicked heart will not listen to my words to cause you to forsake your evil ways and to serve the eternal Elohim, then you will die in shame in the latter days. You, your people, and all who are connected with you, hearing your words or walking in your evil ways. And when Abram had ceased speaking before the sovereign and princes, Abram lifted up his eyes to the Shemaim, and he said, Yahuwah sees all the wicked, and he will judge them. And when
that's powerful.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, let's keep going because I want to get through this, brother. And when, sorry, or you want to say something?
No, go on.
And when the sovereign heard the words of Abram, he ordered him to be put in prison, and Abram was 10 days in prison. And at the end of those days, the sovereign ordered that all the sovereigns, princes, governors of the different provinces, and the wise men should come before him, and they sat before him, and Abram was still in the prison house. And the sovereign said to the princes and the wise men, have you heard what Abram, son of Terah, has done to his father? Thus he has done to him. And I ordered him to be brought before me, and thus has he spoken. His heart did not doubt him, neither did he stir in my presence. And see, now he is confined in the prison. Okay, he couldn't believe it that this guy spoke to him like that.
He was actually scared of him. Yeah. That's why he got back up, or he would have slain him right there.
Right.
He went and got all the princes to say, oh no, this guy didn't even stutter.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he had power on him when he was speaking to him.
And then when he was done, he said, and Nimrod, I did not stutter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And therefore decide what judgment is due to this man. This is verse 4. Who reviled the sovereign, and who spoke and did all the matters that you heard. And they all answered the sovereign, saying, the man who reviles the sovereign should be hanged upon a tree. But having done all the matters that he said, and having despised our mighty ones, he must therefore be burned to death. And for this is the law in this matter. And it pleases the sovereign to do this. If it pleases the sovereign to do this, let him order his servants to kindle a fire, both night and day, and in your brick furnace. And then we will throw this man into it. And the sovereign did so. And he commanded his servants that they should prepare a fire for 3 days and 3 nights in the sovereign's furnace that is in Kasdim. And the sovereign ordered them to take Abram from prison and bring him out to be burnt. And all the sovereign servants, princes, masters, governors, and judges, and all the inhabitants of the land, about 900,000 men, stood opposite the furnace to see Abram. And all the women and little ones crowded on the roofs and on the towers to see what was done to Abram. And they all stood together at a distance, and there was not a man left that did not come on that day to watch the event. And when Abram was brought, the astrologers of the sovereign and the wise men saw Abram, and they cried out to the sovereign, saying, our sovereign master, indeed this is the man whom we know to have been the child at whose birth the great stars swallowed up the 4 stars, which we declared to the sovereign now 50 years since. And see, now his father has also transgressed your commands and mocked you by bringing you another child, which you killed. And when the sovereign heard their words, he was exceedingly wroth, and he ordered Terah to be brought before him. And the sovereign said, have you heard what the astrologers have spoken? Now tell me truly, did you do so? And if you shall speak truth, you shall be acquitted. And seeing that the sovereign's wrath was greatly burning, Terah said to the sovereign, my master and sovereign, you have heard the truth, and what the wise men have spoken is right. And the sovereign said, how could you do this matter? To transgress my orders and to give me a child that you did not bring forth, and to take value for him. Oh, he took the money for him. So, and he mentions that also. Yeah. You see the greed. And Terah answered the sovereign, because my tender feelings were stirred for my son at that time, and I took a son of my female servant, and I brought him to the sovereign. And the sovereign said, who advised you to do this? Tell me, do not hide anything from me, and then you shall not die. And Terah was greatly afraid in the sovereign's presence, and he said to the sovereign, it was Haran, my eldest son, who advised me to do this. And Haran was 32 years old in those days that Abram was born. And Haran did not advise his father. He did not. And let me read that again. But Haran did not advise his father to do anything. For Terah said this to the sovereign in order to deliver his being from the sovereign. Okay. Now this speaks volumes right here.
This is a sick dad.
Yeah.
To even give up his other son.
If you think that people that are not believers won't give you up, that are in your family, check this out. They'll
rat on you, man.
Yeah, they're gonna rat on you.
Yeah.
It was Haran, my eldest son, who advised me to do this. And Haran was 32 years old in those days that Abram was born. And Haran did not advise his father, the sovereign, in order to deliver his being from the sovereign, for he feared greatly. And the sovereign said to Terah, Haran, your son, who has advised you to do this, shall die through fire with Abram, for the sentence of death is upon him for having rebelled against the sovereign's desire in doing this matter. And Haran at that time felt inclined to follow the ways of Abram, but he kept it within himself.
Take note when we're reading right here, people.
Yeah. Listen to the words that are being spoken. And Haran said in his heart, see, now the sovereign has seized Abram because of these matters which Abram did, and it shall come to pass that if Abram prevails over the sovereign, I will follow him, but if the sovereign prevails, I will go after the sovereign. So he was just gonna he was leaning towards believing the things that Abram
believed. Turn out whatever is going to turn out.
Right.
The matter, instead of believing the words.
Right. He wanted to play it safe.
He's playing it safe.
Okay, and
Verse 20.
And when Terah had spoken to the sovereign concerning Haran his son, the sovereign ordered Haran to be seized with Abram, and they brought them both, Abram, Haran, and Haran his brother, to throw them into the fire. And the inhabitants of the land and the sovereign's servants and the princes and all the women and all the little ones were there, standing over them that day. And the sovereign's servants took Abram and his brother, and they stripped them of all their clothes except the lower garments which were on them, and they bound their hands and feet with flax cords. And the servants of the sovereign lifted them up and threw them both into the furnace. And Yahuwah loved Abram, and he had compassion on him. And Yahuwah came down and delivered Abram from the fire, and he was not burnt. But all the cords with which they bound him were burned, while Abram remained and walked about in the fire. And Haran died when they had threw him into the fire, and he was burned to ashes. And for his heart was not perfect with Yahuwah. For his heart was not perfect with Yahuwah.
So he was just, he's one of those guys that come to Shabbat and just hang out. And, you know, and when you're not around, or he's going around, he'll meet Messianics, and he'll say the J-man / Yeshua. Yeah. He'll say the J-man / Yoshua. You know what I mean? And
he's not in all the way.
He's not in all the way. He'll keep the Shabbat, or he won't keep the Shabbat, depending on how it suits him that day. Yep. He'll keep the feast, or he won't keep the feast.
It's like those men, brother. I have written letters to these men telling them to please stop using God, because they're calling on the name and they're calling on God. And I have personally, and these guys come out in the God channel. They come out and they're big time messianic teachers,
right?
And they come out, but they're using both. They're both using God, the J-man, the LORD, and all these other stuff, and they're calling on the name of Yahuwah. They're halfway in and halfway out. They better clean themselves up.
They're just like Haran.
Right, just like Haran.
Right.
Yeah. And anyways, just keep going.
It says in the Torah, in the scriptures, even Yahushua said in the Brit Hadashah, that you're either made of gold, silver, or precious stone. But if you're made of wood, hay, stubble, when you're cast to this fire, what's going to be left? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's the precious metals is going to be left.
Right. Everything else is going to be burnt up. Okay, verse number 27. And Abram walked in the midst of the fire 3 days and 3 nights, and all the servants of the sovereign saw him walking in the fire, and they came and told the sovereign, saying, See, we have seen Abram walking about in the midst of the fire, and even the lower garments which were upon him are not burnt, but the cord with which he was bound is burned. And when the sovereign heard their words, his heart fainted, and he would not believe them. So he sent other trustworthy princes to see this matter, and they went and saw it and told it to the sovereign, and the sovereign rose to go and see it. And he saw Abram walking in the fire, walking to and fro in the midst of the fire. And he saw the body of Haran burn, and the sovereign wondered greatly. And the sovereign ordered Abram to be taken out of the fire, and his servants approached to take him out, but they could not, for the fire was round about, and the flame ascending toward them from the furnace. And the sovereign's servants fled from it, and the sovereign rebuked them, saying, Make haste and bring Abram out of the fire, so that you shall not die. And the servants of the sovereign again approached to bring Abram out, and the flames came upon them and burned their faces, so that the 8 of them died. And the sovereign saw that his servants could not approach the fire, lest they should be burned. The sovereign called to Abram, O servant of Eloah, who is in the Shamayim, come out from the midst of the fire, and come here before me. And Abram listened to the voice of the sovereign, and he came out from the fire, and he came and stood before the sovereign. And when Abram came out, the sovereign and all his servants saw Abram coming before the sovereign, and his lower garments upon him, for they were not burnt, but the cord with which he was bound was burnt. And the sovereign said to Abram, How is it that you were not burned in the fire? And Abram said to the sovereign, The Eloah, the Shamayim, and the Arets, in whom I trust, and who has all in his power, he delivered me from the fire into which you cast me. And Haran, the brother of Abram, was burned to ashes, and they sought for his body, but they found it consumed. And Haran was 82 years old when he died in the fire of Kasdim. And the sovereign princesses and inhabitants of the land, seeing that Abram was delivered from the fire, came and bowed down to Abram. And Abram said to them, Do not bow down to me, but bow down to the Eloah of the Arets, who made you. And even here in this, they said, bow down to the Eloah of the world.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
It should be earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're throwing you the word curve.
Yeah.
The world curve, the globe curve, curve ball there.
No matter what, they're going to still worship the sun deity.
These translators.
And serve him and go in his ways, for it is he who delivered me from out of the fire, and it is he who created the beings and the spirits of all men, and formed man in his mother's womb, and brought him forth into the world, and it is he who will deliver those who trust in him from all pain. And this matter seemed very wondrous in the eyes of the sovereign and princes, that Abram was saved from the fire, and that Haran was burned. And the sovereign gave Abram many presents, and he gave him 2 chief servants from the sovereign's house. The name of one was Oni, and the name of the other was Eliezer. And all the sovereign's princesses and servants gave Abram many gifts of silver and gold and pearl. And the sovereign and his princes sent him away, and he went in shalom. And Abram went out of the sovereign in shalom, and many of the sovereign's servants followed him, and about 300 men joined him. And Abram returned on that day and went to his father's house, he and the men that followed him. And Abram served Yahuwah his Elohim all the days of his life, and he walked in his ways and followed his Torah. Okay, I think
what verse you went to?
I'm now in verse number 43. I'm going to start verse 43.
All right, slow down a little bit. You're going a little fast for us.
Okay.
Okay, so the sovereign gave him gifts. People feared him. They had reverence for him. Okay, and then 300 of the sovereigns followed him.
Right.
They said, "Dude, this guy's a mighty one. He's, let me go check him out.
Right.
Could be spies too, but I wonder what happened to them." Anyways.
Okay. Well, the story about the reason that we want to read all of this is to show how okay, you had the reign of Nimrod, which brought the sun worship, which led all the earth astray, and then Yahuwah brings in, then Abraham shows up on the scene, and he is believing in the Eloah of Noah, who saved him from the flood. Okay, so he is taught about this, and he comes in conflict with Nimrod, telling him, hey, you know what? There's a mighty one that is greater than you. But Nimrod, you'll see that he actually goes against Yahuwah again by going.
He continues.
Right.
By throwing him in the fire, he continued. He didn't repent. And just giving him gifts and sending him away was like, ooh, I better get this guy out of here, man, or he's going to win my people, Going to win the elections, the majority. He's going to win the electoral votes.
Yeah. Okay, so let's jump down to verse number 47. Let's jump down to verse number 47. It says, and the sovereign dreamed that all his company sank into that river and died. And the sovereign fled with 3 men who were before him, and he escaped. So this sovereign is having a dream about Abraham coming out of the furnace, and he came and stood before the sovereign with his sword drawn, and then leaped to the sovereign with his sword. So the sovereign's seeing what's going to happen to him. He's seeing into the future.
Yeah, that was his seed. It was Abraham's seed that's going to do that.
That's Abraham's seed, exactly, who is going to do away with him. So, and the sovereign looked at these men, and they were clothed in princely robes as the garments of sovereigns, and had the appearance and the esteem of sovereigns. And while they were running, the river again turned into an egg before the sovereign, and there came out of the egg a young bird, which came before the sovereign and flew at his head and plucked out the sovereign's eye. And the sovereign was grieved at the sight, and he awoke out of his sleep, and his spirit was agitated, and he felt a greater fear. He felt a great fear. And in the morning the sovereign rose from his couch. This is verse 51. From his couch in fear. And when he ordered all the wise men and the magicians to come before him, the sovereign related his dream to them. And the wise men of the sovereign, whose name was Anuki. Now Anuki, they say, is the guy who what is that guy's name?
Anaki, they call it.
Anaki, that came from the Shamayim, or in UFOs or whatever you want to say. So you can study all that stuff out. But all of this stuff is right here. Yahuwah knows about all of this, and he's written it down. Answered the sovereign, saying, this is none else than the evil of Abraham and his seed, which will spring up against my master and sovereign in the latter days. Verse 53. And see, the day will come when Abraham and his seed and the children of his household will fight against my sovereign, and they will smite all the sovereign's armies and his companies. and as to what you have said concerning 3 men which you saw like yourself, and which escaped, this means that only you will escape with 3 sovereigns from the sovereigns of the earth, who will be with you in the battle. Okay, now if you go back to the Torah, you will read about that these armies came against Sodom and Gomorrah and defeated them, and then Abraham goes out. They took Lot. Abraham goes out to fight them and defeats Lot, and in the end, The only ones who survived. Now, there was 800,000 of these men. You can do your own research. This is the story. There was 800,000 of these guys, and they all died except for 4 sovereigns. Okay, and that's the dream that he's having right now, and that Anuki guy is revealing it to him.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So this is actually going to happen later on. Okay. If we were to keep reading, but we're not going to keep going through verse 13 and all that. If you go through verse 13 all the way up
chapter 13, right?
I'm sorry, chapter 13 all the way up to 46, you'll see that the sovereigns of the cities of the plain who served Kedorlaomer for 12 years, that Kedorlaomer, he defeats Nimrod, who is also maybe Gilgamesh. He defeats Nimrod. And he subdues him. Then Nimrod becomes his servant. And when Kedorlaomer goes against the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah of the plains, he invites Nimrod, and his name was changed to Amraphel. Okay, so when you read the Torah, it talks about Amraphel. Amraphel is Nimrod. Okay, Kedorlaomer, I may be wrong, I'm not sure, is the same, out of that same temple is where they're getting the pictures of Gilgamesh.
Right.
Okay. Out of the
giant. Yeah.
Right. So they may be the same guy. We don't know exactly, because this is coming from the land of Babel, where there's great confusion.
Right.
Okay. So I'm not going to sit here and say I know this for sure, because I don't. Okay. Right. But what happens is these guys go and they subdue the cities of the plain, and then Yahuwah puts it in Abraham to go and subdue them, and he kills them all. He wipes out, and that was the fight of the Valley of the Kings of Sedim or Sedam or whatever it's called. I can't remember. But he goes and he defeats them all, and only these guys are left. Only 4 sovereigns are left.
So now people, this, as we looked at this, and we see that the tower, here's the Tower of the Babel. Okay, you see here this photograph. This is a nice imagination, a picture of all their they got the Circes here, different Circes, these buildings you see in Roman time, Greek time, right? Oblixes, and then you got the Tower of Babel, and then you got a Blix Tower over here, the Call to Prayer Tower, right beside it. Yeah. And then you have all down here in this valley a city. These are houses, and then there's a river. Now on one side is Iran, Iraq, and Iran.
And Iran.
That's what divides them today. Okay, this garbage that's going on. You know what I mean? So right now, here's a picture there. They actually, in mockery, in your face, are telling you we're going to bring you back under Nimrod, the new order.
Right, and one world government.
One world, global government.
That's why
global earth, global religion.
Right. That's why it's so important for people, for everybody to get involved, especially those of us right now who are listening to this and have the name of Yahuwah on them and can actually have authority over these principalities. Brother and I prayed some awesome prayers against these people for the Brits, for the Britics, and for them to get out of that system. Didn't we, brother?
Yeah.
And it happened. I believe it happened because
people like us are interceding in the Father's name and the Son's name. We have power and authority in His name. We don't stutter like Abraham did before Nimrod. We don't stutter when I sit in front of the wise men of 2 or 3 degree knowledge of theological masters of theology, and I sit in front of them, and then I speak into them without
what do they do?
stutter.
They shut their mouth, don't they?
They shut their mouth, and they won't even go to the Hebrew and Greek. They won't even debate with you. They won't even debate with you whatsoever. You know, they say, "Who are you? What gives you the authority to speak so much like this?" And I said, "I am a son of Abraham, Ishak, Jacob. I am a Ibrit Yesharel. I am from Ephraim, Benai, Yosef, and I'm giving you the truth of Torah. No hesitation and blink in the eye. And when I look at demons and where I cast demons out and I speak over people and pray for them for be healing, I don't hesitate. In the name of the J-Man, in the name of LORD, please help me. No, in the name of Yahushua,
right.
Be healed. You know what I mean? Without the same thing, in the name of Yahushua, get out of here, you wicked dog, just like I chase a dog away. You know what I mean?
Right.
We don't have hesitation. If you have to get to the point, people, that you know who you are,
right,
in Yahushua,
right,
in Yahuwah.
That you believe in the power that we have.
So when you're in the fiery trial, what doesn't happen to you?
You don't get burnt. You don't get, like Haran. Haran got burnt.
That's right.
Because he was double-minded.
Yeah.
He wasn't all the way in, you see. You can't, you know, it's kind of like, what was that you were telling me the other day, brother? The demon said, Yahushua I know, and Shaul I know, but who are you?
Right.
Yeah. So if you're sitting there calling on the name of the J-Man, that demon's going to say, you know what? I know who Yahushua is, and I know who Yahuwah is, but who are you?
Now this is a paper of Iraq. This picture. This is the picture of Iraq. Okay. This is a picture of an ancient library, a place. Some people think it's the Tower of Babel. They believe it's the Tower of Babel, but they did something with it. And I'm going to show you another picture here. Okay, this is the other side. Not very good, but it's the other side.
Right. It looks like a big mound, but it's actually ruins.
It's the remains
of that building.
And the water used to flow through here. Remember we saw the water in the cities?
Now, back when we went to Iraq, the United States Marines went into that place.
And I have a picture somewhere. Keep talking to them. Let me see if I can find it. I have some other pictures of the soldiers that during Iraq, while everybody was looking at Desert Storm one way, they had special teams of British and Americans going into the library of Babel, of Nimrod, of Shinamak, what's his name? Gilgamesh, and they found the remains of this giant, and they also got his mystical writings, and they shared them with Great Britain.
They went to this place, and now there's new stuff coming out on the internet. There's new knowledge and new pictures and engravings, carvings of all these Nephilim that were in the Arets back then, and most of them were sovereigns, and they were mighty men, mighty ones of the sovereigns of this area. They're literally principalities. But it's just amazing how you know, they're going to show all of this stuff, and I mean, people know, they know, these guys know, and they believe just as much as you believe in the Creator. They believe just that much in their mighty ones of ancient mysticism, and they're practicing it, and it's ruling over our governments, and that's why it's so important for all of us to intercede. Now, I was going to go ahead and read the Book of Jubilees.
But we have to go to Bereshit.
Right, chapter 12. But you can read that on your own. Please. And all that is it's a witness to what we just read in Yasher.
Everything we said is in Bereshit chapter 11 and chapter 12, 1 through 13, correct?
Right. Everything that we read exactly is in chapter 11 of Bereshit. And so if you want to on your own, because it's a lot. It takes a long time to go through all of this. So if you want to on your own, read the book of Yubilim, chapter 12, verse 1 through 30. Then you want to read the book of Bereshit, chapter 11 through chapter 12, verse 13. And the reason that I'm asking you to do this is because the word says that by 2 or 3 witnesses. Okay, and these books are witnessing. Bereshit witnesses to Yasher, Yasher witnesses to Yubilim, Yubilim witnesses back to Bereshit. They're all witnesses. Even the book of Hanuk, they all witness about each other. Okay, now there might be a couple of verses here or there that are not right, and I believe that they're not right because of the transliteration or the transcribing not the transliteration, but the transcribing of the words, the meanings of cultures that were alive, you know, a few hundred or a few thousand years ago. You know? And so the whole understanding is not given, but most of it is. So
now, yes, and see, as we begin to close, get ready to close, and we'll continue next week, and we're going to continue and give you more. Right. Now, the picture I'm showing you here, I want to show you this as we close. These people believe. You put the money where your mouth is. They believe in what they worship. This is obelisk. And this is where they put the different obelisks all over the world for their sun worship. An obelisk is a male domination pole tower, but it's for the purpose of the reason of sun worship. This is where they line it up, coming across as you see here. You go all the way through the one in Mexico, New York, and all the way up. Stonehenge. Stonehenge is a fake and a fraud. You can look at it. Stonehenge is fake. So, they put that in there. Here's another Google Map lineup. These people believe in this ancient worship. These are other compass to compass getting together and putting stuff, these ancient monuments they're bringing everywhere around the world. This is the one in Buffalo, New York. All right. Here's the one also from 1993 in Emunah Ball, Mexico City. This is the one in 22nd Street, New York. This is the one. This is when they brought it to New York.
Wow.
This is when they brought it.
Look at that. I mean, they're literally doing this stuff.
They yanked them out of Babylon and Egypt and brought them to our country in New York and in England, Great Britain.
Right.
Madison Square Garden has one, and New York's Garden has one.
Right. So they're not just doing this on the spiritual level. They're doing it on the physical level.
Yeah, they are sun worshipers. They're Ball Earth sun worshipers. Right. They believe in what they do. This next picture is a modern one, which you'll see. This is obelisk in Westminster, Colorado. This is a modern with another one on the other side. Here's another sun worship. This is the Crystal Cathedral in Orange County. This is an obelisk.
Wow. That's wicked right there, brother. Look
sun
at that.
worship.
Yeah.
Sun worship jumping off, okay? And here's another one. Here's a closer one. And I was hired to go in there and investigate and bring back information. It wasn't used by the group that hired me, an evangelistic group. And inside that tower, there is a crystal. And it says, touch this crystal and channel your way into the spirit realm of what they believe. Whatever you believe, it didn't matter. Wow. This guy, Schuler, was into all kinds of stuff. The same guy that built the Crystal Cathedral built other cathedrals in Great Britain, New York, and different places of different pagan worship people. Okay, they believe in what they believe. This is the picture of the obelisk that went to England from the city of Alexandria.
Right.
Some guy was using it as in his front yard. He built a house next to it by the Nile. You know what I mean? It's a trip. And then they moved it. Here's a picture of them moving it. They put it in. They put the obelisk, this marble obelisk, in a wooden container, and that's good. They did because the ship got sunk in a sea, and then it ended up floating, and they found it after the storm. And this is when they found it after the storm, because it was buoyant. And then they erected it.
Wow, so they went through all of that trouble.
Years.
They went through years.
They built a ship to be able to make it work.
Right.
To fit it and bring it.
And to float it.
And float it. And even float it if the ship crashed. Okay. Right. And they have right here crabs on every corner. And I'm pointing with my cursor. Okay. This one's in Central Park, the Cleopatra Peaks. Okay. Central Park, England. And this is a picture of the ancient obelisk, the sun pillar of close-up with the crab feet, okay? And here's the one again in England with the crab, and all the ancient writings. These people put the money where their mouth is. This is how they preparation to build it. Okay?
Right, they're not going to spend all those millions, hundreds.
This shows the obelisk of Custer, General Custer. That's right. If I pull the picture high, you'll see an obelisk. Okay.
Thousands, however much it cost them, just to do this thing that they don't even believe in. They believe in this stuff.
Las Vegas, they got a big old pyramid up there, and then they got obelisks at the Luxor Hotel. Right. These people mean what they mean. Okay? Here's one obelisk in London. This is a building, though. Okay, we call ours the what? The Washington Monument. Come on, give me a break. Ain't my monument. Here's a modern one that looks almost like an Islamic call to worship. You see the relationship, people? The call to worship.
Remember that
it's a male symbol.
Right. Remember that all of this stuff came out of the land of Babel. All the mysticism, everything that you see, according to the word of Yahuwah, and if Yahuwah is true and he is, then all of it originated there and it spread throughout the whole earth.
Right.
Because he says that he tells Abraham tells Nimrod, you have caused this sin to go out through the whole earth.
Right. Yep. And they put these sun pillars everywhere, these sundial pillars, which the Vatican has a main one with a circle of the sun of the ball earth. And this is the top of the capstone in New York Square Garden. Then when they brought it, and then here is them bringing the one in the New York.
Look at that one, brother. They built a ship just to
stick
that thing.
The other one crashed and they floated.
Right.
The one in Great Britain put a floaty. They built the wood around it so it'll float. As heavy as it was, the tons it was. But this ship was built for that purpose.
Wow.
You know what I mean? It would come out of the side.
So they spent all the money to build that ship just to make this one voyage.
1880. 1880. These sun worshippers. Now that one came from this area of Egypt.
Now that's very significant what you're saying, brother. 1880, these dates, because this is about the time that sun worship came back and began to go into the education,
into the school systems,
right? Into the school systems, into the education,
the Catholic ball, the globe,
right? It had gone because the Inquisition had brought it back. Here we go. This is what we want to put together. You see, Nimrod spreads throughout up into Syria, through Turkey, and all of that. The Romans come down. We're going to go through this next week. Marcus Aurelius, and they adopt this belief of the sun worship. They take this meteorite back to Rome with them. They're worshiping it, and it's the worship of Mithras. And then later on, Constantine is still worshiping Mithras and adopts Christianity with it.
And it puts sun worship into Christianity.
Right.
And we get the Roman Apostolic Catholic Church and Orthodox. Now this, it's great. We're going to be showing you all this. Next week's going to be more. We're going to leap the ladder in history and show you the different places they're bringing it in. This is 1881, taken from being raised in New York.
Yeah.
And then here's in New York with the obelisk. Finally, it's raised up.
With an American flag on there.
Yeah, cute. And this is 1881 again when they brought it ashore. I got my pictures mixed up. This is when they brought it off the boat and they set up. They literally tore the building on the top to put hoist and all kinds of stuff from building to building to direct it. And here's Cleopatra's peaks, 2 breast peaks of a male domination. She went against male domination. She was an Eastern Star worshiper of the secret societies. Okay, and here's a close-up of it. I just want you to, I know I just flashed this on you because I wanted to show you, and they got all this information on there. Alexandria, telling you where it came from, what year and date.
Right.
And then this one is in Margoni, Rome, Italy. This one is erected in Rome, New York, 1884, in the Battle of 1777 honor. This is the one in Russia. This is in Russia. They're sun worshiping everywhere. Okay, this is the one in New York, but it's on Saratoga National Park. You go up close, you think it's really an obelisk, but it's probably part of a Circe. Why? What's those cathedrals?
The
chapel.
obelisks.
They're obelisks. They're sun worship.
The steeples.
The steeples are sun worship. Yeah. I call them, this is in Basilica, Venice. I've been there. And I took some of these pictures are not just from the internet, brothers and sisters. I went there. I went to Venice, Italy, and I went to different places and took pictures, okay, to get my own picture library.
Right.
And this one is in St. Paul Chapel, New York. In the place where Washington prayed. That wasn't there when George Washington prayed. No, it wasn't there yet. Okay? And what is this in the Vatican? The center of Vatican sun worship wheel.
Yeah.
The sun worship wheel. Okay, so we are dealing with people that put their money where their mouth is.
Right. Right, and they're going out and they're conquering nations, even throughout the whole history, brother. Even after Rome fell, who came in? Who came in after Rome fell? The Moors conquered, and these different groups from the Middle East conquered that area, and they were also sun worshippers. They were the ancestors of the guys who were really doing the sun worship.
Now, we know that we're going to get to the part later on about Disney and Alison Crawley and Leonard Robert and Jack Parson, all them of the NASA crew. This picture's from 1939 of World's Fair, New York. What do you see, people? The ball and a blix.
Wow.
What are they trying to put in the children's mind right away? And look at over here, other blixes. Over here, way in the bottom, in the stadium, way in the bottom. This is still under construction, some of these areas of the park in 1939. This stuff, this picture is from a drawing from a Mason book of the energy field that comes out of it. This is what they believe, brother. That energy field comes out of it when it hits the capstone and comes down and bounces up. That energy comes out of it. These people really believe, and I get hits when I reveal these things from people that are into the cult. People, they really believe this stuff. This is in Paris, gold capstone. This one has a gold capstone. Want to pay their bills? They need to melt that down. Sun worship, pagan worship, people. This is going on. I haven't finished. This is the one I took. This one also. This is the one. No, this is not. This is the one in China. This is in China. It looks very similar to the one in Venice. Okay. This one is in Egypt, still there. I can go on and on. Ethiopia.
It's all over the world.
All over the world. France. I can go on. Sun worship. They yanked from the earth and brought these stuff here.
Not only here, but throughout all of Europe, throughout the UK, into Spain, back into Italy. They brought stuff from the Middle East, from the land of Shinar. They brought stuff from Egypt, from Mizraim. They took the time to pay for all this stuff and bring it and set up their monuments throughout the land.
Right.
Throughout the whole earth.
So, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. We appreciate you. We love you. And we're coming along. We just want to give you the basis and foundation where the battle is against these principalities and the ball, globe, earth from the Vatican City, where it really stems from.
Right. That way when people want to challenge you, they're going to challenge you.
Right.
To, hey, are you crazy? You're an idiot. You believe in that the earth is flat? There's a lot of people out there that are really think people are crazy, that we're crazy if we talk about the way that the earth is, that Yahuwah made the Aretz. But what's even crazier is, like we read in Nimrod, that they believe that the earth is round. They believe in these deities. They believe in all this crazy stuff that's not possible. So we want to give you a foundation, like brother is saying, so that you'll have ammunition in order to fight the enemy.
And see, this is radical. I'm radical, and someday, I don't know what's going to happen. Smash these places like Gideon.
Right.
Of course, you will hear me on the news. Some radical religious Hebrew Israelite destroyed the sun worship stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but was Abraham radical, or was he being obedient? Which one is it?
Yeah. He really believed. So we close with this. We love you. Go ahead and email us. Send us information. People are sending us some great information to help us in our research as well. And when brother starts showing you the Creator's calendar according to Hilnuk and the way it opens in and out of gates, I know you're gonna have parts of the picture, because all of us got a little bit of truth, and the Father needs us all together, because only the Zadok, only the Kehoni, only the Kohani, only those of the Kohanim, the Zadok, are really the ones that are supposed to say the 2 or 3 witnesses. And this is the beginning of the equal yom and equal night. and start the count. You know what I mean? But all of us together, the Father will help us in this. And we're going to share our information openly. And as you help us, we're going to help each other and get the word out and get the lock in. Because brother's got some awesome teaching. He's been doing studying for 3 or 4 years, very in depth about the way it works and the gates, the in and out. So, but here in front of you, of course, you see you can email us at eagleshavenministry@yahoo.com if you want the pamphlet. Physically mail it to you of the correction of the pagan words, or if you want a PDF file, I will email it to you, or if you want any of my wife's music, I will mail it to you.